Hey guys, it's Brainiac B, and today I am gonna give a review of all my who was and who is and what was the story of books. And I'll tell you the authors and what's on the back of the books. So let's get started. First, I have What is the Story of Frankenstein? And that was written by Shalea Keenan. And he is a story of a fictional character who first appeared in an 1818 novel, both a scientist and the creature he created, the most recognizable monster of all time. My second Who Was book was Who Was Harriet Tubman, and it was wrote by Yona Zeldis McDonough. And she was a woman who escaped slavery, then risked her own life to help others do the same. A nurse who saved soldiers living during the Civil War, a Civil War spy who helped the Union Army. My third Who Was book was Who is Steven Spielberg? And that was written by Stephanie Spinner. And he was a boy who was the happiest with a camera in his hand, the man who made a shark a movie star, one of the most successful film directors of all time. My fourth Who Was book was Who Was Ernest Shackleton? And it was written by James Buckley Jr. And he was a boy who dreamed of adventure at sea, a man who spent a year stranded on an ice shelf, one of the most well-known Antarctic explorers in history. My fifth Who Was book was Who Was Christopher Columbus? And it was written by Bonnie Bader. And he was a boy who dreamed of sailing to faraway places, the captain of the Santa Maria, which was wrecked on a coral reef some other time, an explorer who found the New World and never knew it. Awesome book. Awesome. And my sixth Who Was book was Who is Ruth Bader Ginsburg? And it was written by Patricia Brennan DeMuth. And she was a Baton twirling teenager who performed at school football games, the second woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court, a tireless fighter for gender equality and civil rights. I love that book too. And my seventh Who Was book was Who Was Frederick Douglass? And it was written by April Jones Prince. And he was a boy born into slavery who taught himself to read and write, a young man who escaped to freedom in the North, the father of the civil rights movement. And my eighth Who Was book was Who Was Jesus? And it was written by Ellen Morgan. And he was a Jewish boy born 2,000 years ago, a preacher put to death for his teachings, the man who Christians believe is the Son of God. My ninth Who Was book was Who Was Bruce Lee? And it was written by Jim Galadio. And he was the son of a Chinese opera star, an action film hero, one of the greatest martial arts masters of all time. And my 10th Who Was book was Who Was Elvis Presley? And it was written by Joseph Edgars. And he was a shy boy who was sometimes teased by classmates, a singer who became famous when he was only 21, the man known around the world as the King of Rock and Roll. And my last 11th Who Was book is my favorite that I've read so far. It is Who is Michael Jordan? Written by Kirsten Anderson. And he was a competitive child who played basketball, baseball, and football. An NBA star whose signature Air Jordans became the world's most popular basketball shoe. One of the greatest players of all time. Now that's all my reviews. I will get more books and I will show them. And subscribe.